A very good evening to you, our viewers. This is the Camnet News. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. The top stories on our desk this evening: BOWMAN, LUSAMBO and 8 others petitioned, labelled as illegal members of parliament. IMF gives Zambia with 1.4 billion United States dollars. Vice President claims UPND has scored 9 out of 10 in the first 100 days in office. In international news, Gambians said for high-stake pause, first since end of JAMMEH's era. And in sports news, Copper Queens geared up for Ghana.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Once again, thank you for choosing us. Before we get into the news, we would like to clarify and correct a news item that was aired on the 1st of December 2021, where Opposition Patriotic Front accused the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly of being biased towards the opposition. In the news item, it was alleged that Second Deputy Speaker Attraktach Sangano was biased in reference to the other Deputy Speaker, when in fact she was not in the House the day of the incident. In this regard, the accusation by the Patriotic Front members of Parliament was raised against Mr. Frank Moyo, who is also the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly. Camnet TV, therefore, would like to retract and apologize for the mix-up. Governance, Elections, Advocates Research Services Initiative Zambia has petitioned the Constitutional Court seeking an order that the court restrains 9 Patriotic Front members of Parliament whose parliamentary seats have been nullified to stop them from taking part in any business of the House and masquerading as elected members of Parliament. Gears has cited BOWMAN LUSAMBO, Joseph Malanji, Mutotwe Kafaya, Siwongile Mwamba, Luke Simumba, Alan Banda, Kawe Chewe, Kalalwe Mukosa, Christopher Chiwe, and the Attorney General as respondents. The petitioner states that the 9 respondents are contravening the Constitution and the Electoral Process Act by attending sessions of the National Assembly following the declaration by the High Court that they were not duly elected as members of Parliament for respective constituencies. Miriam Kayamba found this report.
Despite having appealed in the Constitutional Court against the High Court decision to nullify their parliamentary seats, it seems 9 opposition Patriotic Front members will not have it easy following a decision by Governance, Elections, Advocates Research Services Initiative Zambia Limited, GEARS, to petition them in the Constitutional Court on ground that their stay in Parliament and attending session contravenes the Constitution and the Electoral Process Act. GEARS, who has cited BOWMAN LUSAMBO, Joseph Malanji, Mutotwe Kafaya, Siwongile Mwamba, Luka Simumba, Alan Banda, Kalawe Mukosa, Christopher Chiwe, and the Attorney General as respondent wants a declaration that to the extent of the High Court having declared their respective elections invalid, the said parliamentary seats are vacant and shall remain so until duly filled either on appeal or by fresh election. In an affidavit before court, GEARS Initiative wants an order from the court restraining the 9 respondents from attending session of the National Assembly, taking part in any business of Parliament, and otherwise masquerading as elected members of Parliament until further order of the court. The petitioner argues that the 9 respondents have contravened Article 68, 72 and 73 of the Constitution as read together with Section 108 of the Electoral Process Act No. 35 of 2016 for their continued stay in Parliament. Gears has further contended that with the High Court countrywide having found in its judgment that the illegal practices, corruption and bribery had occurred during the elections, the Registrar of the High Court is mandated under Section 108(6) and 7 of the Electoral Process Act No. 35 of 2016 to prepare a report detailing the same and submit it to the Electoral Commission of Zambia and the Director of Public Prosecutions, and the continued failure or neglect by the Registrar of the High Court to carry out this function constitute a breach of the law. We wait to see how this case unfolds. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A Lusaka-based lawyer, Kelvin Zimba, has sued Health Minister Silva Masewo before the Lusaka High Court over the directive she issued on the 28th of November 2021 that only vaccinated people against the COVID-19 should be allowed access in government premises. According to a petition filed in court, Mr. Zimba wants the court to declare that the pronouncement made by the minister on the said date demanding that all persons entering public buildings and public service workers must be vaccinated against the COVID-19 and produce proof of such vaccinations is ultra-virus Article 13, 19 and 21 and 22 of the Constitution, therefore void of no effect. Mr. Zimba, who has also cited the Attorney General as respondent, further seeks an order of certiorari that Masewo's pronouncements be squashed for being unconstitutional. But Zimba has argued that the minister's directive are likely to violate his rights guaranteed in Article 13(1) of the Constitution, that he will be deprived of his personal liberty as he will not be free to access government buildings and report for work unless he gets vaccinated. Still in court, Opposition Patriotic Front self-proclaimed National Commander Innocent Kalimanshi has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that the Drug Enforcement Commission officer allegedly asked him to call former PF Provincial Chairperson Kennedy Kamba and plead with him after he was arrested. This is in a matter in which Kalimanshi and 5 others are accused of trafficking drugs and unlawful use of a motor vehicle to commit an offense. When the matter came up for opening of his defense Friday, Kalimanshi testified that when he was arrested for the alleged offense of drugs, he was informed by one of the officers that there was no case against him and that the only thing he needed to do was to call Mr. Kamba and resolve internal issues that he had with him.
The outspoken Opposition Patriotic Front self-proclaimed National Commander Innocent Kalimanshi, who had maintained his silence ever since the PF lost power in the 12th August general elections, finally spoke when he appeared before the Magistrate Court for his alleged drug trafficking case. Just like his court, fear not but fit, Kalimanshi, who opened his defense Friday before court, testified that the allegations against him are false because he has never dealt in drugs. The PF self-proclaimed National Commander, who was arrested by the Drug Enforcement Commission in July 2021, is jointly charged with 5 others for trafficking in psychotropic substances, namely cannabis. Kalimanshi said to have trafficked 2.0 grams of cannabis and also used a motor vehicle to commit an offense under the Narcotic Drugs Act, while the 5 are accused of trafficking 95.3 grams of cannabis, and among the 5, 1 is accused of trafficking in 36.0 grams of the said drug. The 6, who appeared before Magistrate Sanford Ngola, denied ever being found with the said drugs and alleged that they were only shown the said drugs at the force headquarters by DEC officers after their arrest. In his further testimony, Kalimashi testified that when he was arrested for the alleged offense of drugs, he was informed by one of the officers that there was no case against him and the only thing he needed to do was to call former PF Provincial Chairperson Kennedy Kamba and plead with him as they had internal issues in the party. In his cross-examination, Kalimashi told the magistrate court that his Chawama group, called Ama Americans, is a peaceful group and was never the source of confusion in Chawama compound. He says he's a peaceful man and has a vision of bringing love and unity among the people so that they can live together in peace. Will appear on the 31st of December 2021 for judgment. They continue to remain in custody. Miriam Kemba reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Drug Enforcement Commission, through its Anti-Money Laundering Investigation Unit, has arrested Konkola Copper Mines provisional liquidator Milingo Lungu for theft involving 17,250 million kwacha. DEC Public Relations Officer Matthias Kamanga says particulars of the offence are that Mr. Milingo 45 of plot number 22763 Mulungushi Road in Lusaka jointly, whilst acting together with other persons unknown on dates unknown but between 6th May 2021 and 30th August 2021 in his capacity as provisional liquidator for KCM PLC, transferred funds from the liquidation account to his law firm's account and instructed the bank to put the said funds on a fixed deposit account.
Mr. Milingo Lungu, a 45-year-old male of plot number 22763 Mulungushi Road in Lusaka, jointly and whilst acting together with other persons unknown on dates unknown but between 6th May and 30th August 2021 and in his capacity as the provisional liquidator for KCM PLC in liquidation, did transfer funds from the KCM liquidation account to the account for his law firm. And he further instructed the bank to place the funds that had been transferred onto a fixed deposit account, which earned him interest to the tune of 17,250,000 kwacha, which he later withdrew from this account. And after these transactions, part of the principal money that was transferred to that law firm's account was transferred back to KCM through another account, and part of it remained and was placed on another fixed deposit account. The Commission has since seized 138,828,795 kwacha in connection with these transactions, and has charged and arrested Mr. Lungu for theft contrary to Section 272 and 278 of the Penal Code Act, Chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia.
Residents of Mutendere compound are at risk of catching waterborne diseases as nearly the whole area is experiencing sewer leakages from several homes due to alleged illegal connections to the water system. In an interview with Camnet News, the residents explained that many people have failed to exercise patience after they were promised connections by the main system by the Millennium Challenge. Meanwhile, Area Councillor Boniface Chibeka has warned perpetrators of necessary action, stating that the council will conduct an inspection to assess which houses have illegal connections. Details in this report.
In today's modern world, having flushable toilets is encouraged so as to enhance sanitation. However, alleged illegal connections to the sewer system has landed residents of Lusaka's Mutendere Section A compound along Church Road in serious problems as these connections have caused various sewer leakages in the area. Residents narrate that government, through the Millennium Challenge Completion Project, is scheduled to put up flushable toilets in the area through a contractor. They state that some residents in the area, however, feel that the project has delayed to kickstart and have begun putting up flushable toilets and engaged private agents to connect them to the sewer system, hence the disaster.
So after wakula toilets, vali suppose no kulora government yasumisho kwa nomba kuti va isura ya toilets. Nomba bena vali isura fye ukwabula government ukusuminisha. So nombesha sitikaka kwa ati fyali fuasa ama fya pita fyo mumwini omu. Nganiri lefula yalo kelele na tatuwaikele tachawemi. Chilidi chali isukano kuchuka chili. Fyali fuma fyonse konso kufiko fyeka fyeko. Tuwaikele fye mumafi. In fact, papta fe kwati 1 week pakati. Abana ine mungando mubonse bali lwele, including na ine wine nemwini. Kukiri kwa kalingalingo kwa tuwaleta ntama kwati katwishi. Ngani umuno no bali mubikire na pama injections. So tachawe umunganda bali lwala mumyesu kunu makuli bonse fe twali lwala pano payadi.
So tipuna utitindandiziwe na iji ntuwa mvura ya bwera. Pamena ya bwera mvura hii nizu lodi yonse bantu bazasira na kolera. Isuwe yatupesha kwanjini kwebekala kwati apa mpepi apa natuchula ne isuwo mulando wako bate ko yayambira ndapali abesa mukutuwamisho kwebati batuwamisho yako kwebati twikale ko mtendere pakati kanganda yesu ngamwa yalolesha yamesha yale ya straight so fili achitulike pali yamesha yafili okuyamulya mwini azerida uchaba abantu bakulanwa mesha yafiko nombo kutuwafa mwala tuwafa munshira nshi.
The residents have called for the situation to be corrected, stating that many children play in the same effluents, hence endangering their lives.
Apa nikaenda kukwa niponda vimazi vama tu videile manja nikaenda kudwala akuti niko COVID-19 baadaye wala kuti nikusasa mara vimazi vama tu vimazi vingo choka chaka cha sila vimazi vichoka sila vivala lakamba vitu vina nguva vili dana chito ale ko samara hii manja ise amena siti angana tiponda hapo hapa.
A check by Camnet News reviewed that the place also has broken water pipes in the same area where these spillages are taking place, hence causing a risk to water contamination. Area Councillor Mr. Boniface Chiveka has told Camnet News that the council will move in to make sure that spillage points are sealed off. He further states that investigations will be conducted and necessary action will be taken against those who will be found to have connected illegally. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
In a related development, residents of Kamanga compound in Lusaka have bemoaned the perpetual water blues experienced in the area. In an interview with Camnet News, the residents who sought anonymity say they have to wait long queues to access safe, clean drinking water due to inadequate sources of water. They add that government should also look into intensifying security in the area, adding that criminal activities have risen.
The number of people suffering water stress is expected to soar, aggravated by population increase and declining availability. An estimated 4.8 million Zambians lack regular access to clean water and 6.6 lack access to adequate sanitation facilities. Poor water and sanitation are a major factor in Zambia's high rates of childhood malnutrition and mortality. That said, residents of Kamanga have called on the New Dawn government to come to their aid with the water crisis.
Manzi muribe mwaionaka so mana manje sakira manzi mwali kuribe masomana na endera manzi tigona manzi 0203 tapa manzi maye goma yanganepo bari ya 15 bari ya bwayanganirepo Suka mwana ifanyira polisi na manje shikaichopwanyika icho majanki yavuta menye abantu kuno daily usiku na mzuru. Vapo kasecha mafoni wonse vapwanya angena manyumba. Mae utiro police security paripe. Nani manzi so pressure manzi yavuta muno makamanga. Yavuta muno makamanga muribe mazona moya chokera manzi. So na manje kwa 6 hours sichepa pombi pano manzi muribe ndai mbwanjino. Ifuna anganiepo kunatipisha futi mweli shishube manzi.
They say government should meet challenges they are facing by investing and promoting sustainable access to safe drinking water and sanitation.
Bananyula pombi majanki avuta. Tifaya be polisi si. Kulibe motinga chite tikasema boge tisipeza palipi panje. Mati zaita bwa.
There is great need of strengthening water supply, sanitation that is going to accommodate all citizens. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Heavy police presence Wednesday, 3rd December 2021, sealed off the entrance of the Ministry of Health, Ndeke House in Lusaka. A check by Camnet News found employees at the ministry being denied entry into the premises, except top officials such as directors and permanent secretaries. Some employees spoken to expressed ignorance of what exactly was happening at their offices. Meanwhile, police spokesperson Ray Hamonga, when contacted for a comment, has told Camnet News that the joint investigation team was dispatched at the ministry to carry out investigations with regards to recovery of stolen assets.
I'm saying this is the joint investigation team that is carrying on investigation as regards to the issues relating to stolen assets and corruption cases or recovery of assets.
Now, to mark the Day of International Day for Persons with Disability, Persons with Stability staged a protest to demand answers from the United Party for National Development Administration as to why they remain sidelined in governance. The group, which gathered at Cabinet Office, wants the government to uphold the aspirations of the 7th National Development Plan and Sustainable Development Goals of not leaving anyone behind. This year's World Day of Persons with Disability focused on the call on leadership and participation of persons with disabilities towards inclusive, accessible and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. Details in this report.
3rd December is reserved to mark the International Day for Persons with Disabilities. Friday, some persons with cross-cutting disabilities opted to stage a protest to express their views on matters affecting them. Loud but soundless conversations through sign language indicating their willingness to express themselves and reminding the nation of one important language which must be given prominence to demonstrate communication inclusiveness.
A lot of deaf people have completed schools, but in those schools that they've gone to, they haven't learned anything. For instance, most schools for the deaf, they're mainstreamed. Like, you know, when a deaf child passes from grade 9 to grade 10, they're mainstreamed in a normal class.
With no sign language?
In that class, the teachers there, they don't sign. They just use speech. A deaf child will just be there copying notes from other kids. Without understanding what they are saying.
They demand answers from the New Dawn government as to why they have been sidelined in governance issues.
Schools that are meant for persons with visual impairment in the country have really been left without any teaching and learning materials. So we hope our New Dawn is going to remember to make sure that these schools are well equipped with what is supposed to be used by persons with visual impairment. And also in the administration of our educational system, we would like to see that persons with disabilities are included so that as the head of state is able to be well informed about issues that are meant to be helping to ease the learning and welfare of persons with disabilities.
They need skills centers that can be created for them, especially those that attend their grade 12. After grade 12, they go back to their community where they do nothing at all, and then they are living in poverty, extreme poverty. So what is needed is creating skills centers for them. In each district, there should be a skills center for persons with disabilities where they can be empowered with entrepreneurship skills, carpentry, bricklaying. Those are the skills that can help them to survive.
They are sad that President Hakainde Hichilema does not see it fit to appoint them in key positions.
All what we need are opportunities. Provide us with opportunities that we can be able to develop this nation together. We are talking of SDGs. We cannot fulfill or implement them if part of the community is left behind. We are talking of the poor, and where the statistics are saying that the poorest of the poor are people with disabilities. Now, how are we going to fight poverty if we are neglecting? That's why they need to show leadership. Leadership from His Excellency to see to it that persons with disabilities are part and parcel of all government systems. People with disabilities are part and parcel of all governance systems of the nation, of the government, and even when it comes to appointments.
This year's theme for the International Day of Persons with Disabilities is leadership and participation of persons with disabilities towards an inclusive, accessible and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. Advocates like Liswaniso Mwanalushi, the Commuter Magazine team leader, hope that the president will listen to their concerns.
So when the new Dawn administration under President Hakainde Hichilema came in, we had a lot of expectations that persons with disabilities are going to be included in the governance systems. That is appointments at the DC level, PS level, and the cabinet minister level. But we are not seeing that.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Meanwhile, a consortium of disability organizations in Lusaka joined the commemoration of this day, pressing emphasis on the need for inclusion of persons with disability in key leading positions.
Zambia joins in the commemoration of the 2021 International Day of Persons with Disability, the day that is observed to underline the necessity of an inclusive culture that embraces persons with disabilities so that they can equally participate and contribute in the society. Disability organizations in Lusaka have joined in the celebration, pressing an emphasis on the need for inclusion of persons with disabilities in leading key positions. President of the Disability Inclusion Association of Zambia, Mike Chivumo, has charged the well-abled community to voice out their needs, lest no inclusion advancement will be achieved.
I am an economist. I am studying law. What's so difficult about that? We have people in the civil service who have been languished, they have not been promoted for years because they are saying this person is a disabled. People don't come out. And alas, even to us persons with disabilities, those that are in privileged position, we don't speak up when we are comfortable. Shame on us again for disability. But what has been done? What reports, where do they go? There is a cabinet secretary which has come to say, it's just about encouraging. There are no penalties, there are no stringent measures. If you don't mainstream issues of disability issue, you don't mainstream disability issue in your programs, what are the consequences? So these are the issues that I'm encouraging all of us. As a disability movement, we are saying we've been excluded from the national governance and we need to get involved at all levels so that we can influence policy. We can make policies that are inclusive.
And voice of my own founder, David Mukwasa, has noted the less recognition of well-abled community by the new administration.
Ways of Honorable Mutati, many years ago when he was the Minister of Finance, he said, government has got a big agenda, a lot of things on its agenda. Okay, and if you persons with abilities are not making noise, you are not shouting the loudest, you will not get anything. So you shout the loudest. You knock at the doors of government government offices for you to get to be heard and to get what you want. It's a pity that the inaugural speech of the president, the new dawn, His Excellency Hichilema, disability was not mentioned. His speech in National Assemblies, disability was not mentioned. In the budget, disability was in the light in the corner when talking about social cash transfer. But that's not what we're looking at. As long as you are not in the main speech of the president, if the president does not talk about you, no minister will talk about you, no permanent secretary will talk about you, it's a system, it goes down the chain.
This year's commemoration is dubbed Leadership and Participation of Persons with Disability toward an inclusive, accessible and sustainable post-COVID-19 world. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
In other news, Chipata District Commissioner, Eastern Province, Elida Banda, has urged people in Chipata District to get vaccinated against the COVID-19. Mrs. Banda says despite the efforts being made in the fight against COVID-19, the district has been recording high numbers with a total record of 4,277 cases of COVID-19, with 158 deaths since the pandemic was declared in 2020. Mrs. Banda has since urged all members of the district committee of the COVID-19 preparedness to heighten their surveillance capacities and play their role in order to reduce the impact of the predicted fourth wave of the COVID-19. Mrs. Banda was speaking during the District Epidemic Preparedness Committee meeting.
As government plans to vaccinate 2 million people by end of December 2021, Chipata District has targeted over 13,000 people to be vaccinated by 25th of December 2021. Chipata District Commissioner Elida Banda has urged people in Chipata to get vaccinated against COVID-19 to reduce the impact of the predicted fourth wave. She says this during the District Epidemic Preparedness Committee meeting.
Chipata, we have a target of over 13,000 people to be vaccinated by Christmas. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me also to remind you of the risks that come with the rain season, such as diarrhea and skin diseases, especially among the under 5s. The surveillance data has already shown an increase in the number of diarrhea cases in the district, with 2,236 in the third quarter 2021 compared to 1,488 the same period last year.
Meanwhile, speaking on the same meeting, Chipata District Health Surveillance Officer Mlenga Chilambwe says the objective of the district office is to vaccinate 30% of the eligible population by 31st of December 2021.
District. And so our colleagues at the border, the port health officers and also other agencies at the border, this is so far what has happened this year. So they screened 44,692 travelers at Mwami border. Then out of these we stopped 1,015. Then we also denied 7 entry because they failed to produce COVID-19 certificates, as it is by policy and guidelines that those coming from outside the country, they provide these COVID-19 certificates.
Chipata District has so far recorded a total of 4,277 cases of COVID-19 with 158 deaths since the pandemic. Alex Shimba, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Vice President claims the UPND has scored 9 out of 10 in the first 100 days in office. This and more after the break.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry. Has so much data.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings.
Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
This is the Rusitu Irrigation Project. It's a government project funded by the World Bank through IDSP.
The project involved laying over 18 kilometers worth of interlinked water pipes that will supply water to the 280 hectares land for small-scale and commercial farmers in Lusitu of Chirundu district. We worked on 35 kilometers of the road network and also constructed 159 concrete water hydrants of different sizes in all 3 tiers. The state-of-the-art water pumping station at the banks of the Zambezi is fitted with 9 water pumps, a dedicated concrete reservoir, a 500 kV automated standby generator, a fully automated pump switching system that is interlinked with a second reservoir of 27,000 cubic liters capacity, which is fitted with 7 water pumps, a standby generator and floater tanks for that extra water pressure on the irrigation lines. Savenda Construction is grateful to the Zambian government and the World Bank for giving us the opportunity to be part of the history of Lusitu, as the project will benefit over 282 households once completed, and is just one of the many that Savenda Construction has embarked on, owing to its track record and capacity to deliver as per requirement. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
You're still watching news. Thank you for staying on. Vice President Mutale Nalumango says the United Party for National Development Administration has scored 9 out of 10 since they attained office, with a specific focus on the first 100 days. Speaking on the floor of Parliament during the Vice President question time, Mrs. Nalumango has cited what she terms as non-interference of public institutions by political party cadres, which symbolizes aspirations of the governing party's role in upholding the rule of law. The Vice President was responding to a question by Matero Member of Parliament, Mao Sampa. Meanwhile, Mrs. Nalumango further stated government's position on the Farmer Input Support Program, inflation rates, among other pertinent issues of governance.
And in the interest of time, Your Honor, the Vice President, it's been, as at yesterday, 2nd December, the UPND government clocked 100 days, and it is said politically the 100 days determines what the next 4 years will be, for the good or the bad. Your Honor, the Vice President, how can you rate the 100 days on a scale of 1 to 10? How has the UPND performed from the people's perspective? I thank you.
Her Honor, the Vice President. Thank you. I should believe that, Madam Speaker, the Honourable Member for Matero who has asked has also an answer, because he's also observing, as I am. Madam, if we have to give a benefit of doubt, we will say 9 out of 10. Just honourable members, honourable members, can we honestly fail to see that there is a reduction in confusion in marketplaces? Is that not a score? All of us must see. Corruption, how many people have been questioned here? That is another score. In fact, Madam Speaker, I can go on a long list, but I've given, this question was between 1 and 10. I have given 9 to give him room to think. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry Chipoka Mulenga says government is working on policies that will ensure that foreign investors partner with local investors whenever they want to set up businesses in the country. Speaking when he featured on the Camnet breakfast show, the minister says despite Zambia having a huge presence of direct foreign investment, the country has nothing to show off. Mr. Mulenga says it is a mockery for the local investors to be subjected to a 20% share in construction sector when most materials used are locally sourced. Prudence Chota filed this report.
Has in the recent past witnessed an influx in the number of foreign direct investment, which in some instances have not been so beneficial to the country. While no country can develop without foreign direct investments, safeguarding local investments remains critical for creating jobs and increasing liquidity in the economy. Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry Chipoka Mulenga says government is revising policies to ensure that every investor that comes into Zambia partners with a Zambian to allow not only for skill transfer but resources and revenue as well.
Every investor that comes to this country, it's not yet legislated, but we are working on it, on a framework that is conducive. Every investor that comes to Zambia must partner with a Zambian. It's non-negotiable. That's the only look. We've been talking about transfer skills, or transfer of skills from the foreigners into the locals. It never happens. Why? Because Zambians are not partners into that investment that comes in. It's not only about transfer of skill, even transfer of revenue and resources.
The minister adds that it is not right for big contracts to be given to foreign investors while the local people are only subjected to 20% share.
It was a mockery and an insult in the past where people used to say all contracts can be given to foreigners and let's just reserve 20% for Zambians. How do you reserve 20% for yourselves over your own materials which God has blessed you with? Where on earth will you even get 80% if in your country you limit yourselves to 20%? That thing is coming to an end very soon.
While many businesses fail due to lack of resources, facilities or financing needs to be more accessible to the Zambian people, as it is the only way to grow their businesses.
When you invest today, you break even after 3 months. After the 4th month, you start making profit. Then in the 5th month, you start deducting you. But in Zambia, before they even give you a loan, there's a negative in your bank. They start deducting you from the same loan they've given you before. You invest it. Those are things we want to change. Facilities of loans must be easy for SMEs and for the Zambian people.
The minister has since appealed to the Zambian people to be patient with the new Dawn government, as the works being done will soon begin to bear fruits.
So even as we are doing things, have faith in this government that you believed in to take over leadership. Our interest is for you. The same brothers who are saying give free education, they should start reminding us that we promised that we will take them to court for the things they've stolen. Themselves should start reminding us that we will follow them for the things that they stole. They should remind us that they employed people on political grounds and we should get them out.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Ministry of Finance has announced that government and the International Monetary Fund mission in Zambia has reached a staff-level agreement on a program under the IMF's Extended Credit Facility. Finance Minister Stombeko Msokotwane says the agreement envisages the provision of financial support of $1.4 billion United States dollars over the next 3 years, subject to approval by the IMF Executive Board. The minister says the 1.4 is an addition to the 1.3 billion United States dollars allocation that was received in August 2021. Dr. Msokotwane says government will prioritize human development and meet critical government programs, including social sector spending in health and education. Mr. Msokotwane further says the policy package also reflects on government's objectives, such as the provision of bursaries and meal allowances to vulnerable students.
I am pleased to announce that the government and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, mission to Zambia have reached a staff-level agreement on a program under the IMF's Extended Credit Facility that envisages provision of financial support of $1.4 billion US dollars over the next 3 years. As a result of the policies underpinning the IMF program, we will be able to prioritize human development and meet critical government programs, including social sector spending in health and education. Further, the policy package also reflects our objectives, such as provision of bursaries and meal allowances to vulnerable students, as well as the implementation of the decentralized programs under the Constituency Development Funds, CDF.
The Zambia National Education Coalition has called on government to embark on policy reforms which will see institutions of higher learning operate in a systematic way aimed at improving the quality of higher education in the country. Speaking during the presentation of a report on the state of higher learning institutions in Zambia, ZANEC Advocacy and Communications Officer Precious Mungambata says the research undertaken has revealed that there is urgent need to ensure that these institutions are depoliticized. She says politicizing higher learning institutions is one of the major problems affecting institutions in recent years.
Quality education has been identified as the tool necessary for national development. It is in this vein that every country aspires to have the best education system from inception up to tertiary level. A report undertaken by the Zambia National Education Coalition ZANEC has revealed that while making positive strides in many areas, institutions of higher learning in Zambia need to be relooked if the country is to provide the desired quality of education. Presenting the findings of the report, ZANEC Advocacy and Communications Officer Ms. Precious Mungambata notes that apart from depoliticizing these institutions, there is also a need to create a conducive environment for small businesses as most students struggle financially. She adds that there is also a need to consider a new curriculum which will, among other things, include emotional intelligence and entrepreneurship. Ms. Mungambata has also called for the setting up of sustainable online learning platforms in the wake of the coronavirus, stating that all these border on policy reforms.
There is need for the introduction of a holistic student-focused policy or plan that will ensure that the challenges that confront students in institutions of higher learning are given adequate focus and priority. Further, there is need for policies and laws to be reviewed or enacted to encourage the effective participation of students in governance issues and decision-making process, and to express themselves in the context of academic freedom.
Meanwhile, Zambia National Student Union ZANASU Secretary General Mr. Isaiah Mambwe says there is need for school management to lend a listening ear to challenges affecting students.
These unions, for them to function, they need some financial muscle. From my institution where I come from, actually most institutions, students have got a particular percentage they need to pay towards the unions. And trust me, these student unions you see in these countries are very rich. They've got billions and billions of kwachas in their coffers. I'm not sure about Eswatini and Zimbabwe, but for Zambia that's the case. But then these students do not have control over their students' finances. These finances can be channeled towards helping the vulnerable students, can be channeled towards fundraising programs, investment, and we can be able to curb most of the challenges students are facing in these institutions of higher learning.
The meeting drew representation from the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Technology and Science, student unions, and various stakeholders. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
This is Camnet News. We take another set of commercials. When we return, we have sports and international news. Stay with us.
This is the Rusitu Irrigation Project. It's a government project funded by the World Bank through IDSP.
The project involved laying over 18 kilometers worth of interlinked water pipes that will supply water to the 280 hectares land for small-scale and commercial farmers in Lusitu of Chirundu district. We worked on 35 kilometers of the road network and also constructed 159 concrete water hydrants of different sizes in all 3 tiers. The state-of-the-art water pumping station at the banks of the Zambezi is fitted with 9 water pumps, a dedicated concrete reservoir, a 500 kV automated standby generator, a fully automated pump switching system that is interlinked with a second reservoir of 27,000 cubic liters capacity, which is fitted with 7 water pumps, a standby generator, and floater tanks for that extra water pressure on the irrigation lines. Savenda Construction is grateful to the Zambian government and the World Bank for giving us the opportunity to be part of the history of Lusitu, as the project will benefit over 282 households once completed and is just one of the many that Savenda Construction has embarked on. owing to its track record and capacity to deliver as per requirement. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Infirmity never had a legal right in here anymore because she was healed in her soul. He also took care of that accusation in the court where he said, I loose you, and that means to acquit someone of a crime.
Why does he say, be strong and be courageous, Bamutale? Number one, you've got to be strong. You've got to be courageous when claiming the things that belong to you.
If you're up against principalities and powers,
en contra de
and Satan
principados,
is knocking you around,
y el enemigo te está dando contra ti,
put praise on in your car.
pon alabanza.
Put praise on.
So we must learn to depend on the Holy Spirit to tell us what these things are and what's the next thing and what the church ought to be doing rather than conform to everything that is going on.
He says you're blessed. He says flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father.
He will preach the gospel with great power and influence, I say, even to the nations of the earth. And I began to prophesy his destiny. As I did that, the Spirit of the Lord said, now rebuke the spirit of depression.
The mystery of your unfulfilled prophecy is found in what I'm saying today, if you hear what the Spirit is saying, because the King is speaking.
That everything that God has given you will flourish because you have his mind like never before, in Jesus' mighty precious name.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying on. In international news, voters in the Gambia are heading to the polls on Saturday to elect their next president, 5 years after a long-term ruler Yahya Jammeh stepped down. Incumbent President Adama Barrow and 5 other candidates are vying for the presidential seat. Barrow's main task is to improve the country's economy. The Electoral Commission says it has made all preparations for a free and fair election. Here's a roundup of international stories.
Election staff examined voting kits ahead of Saturday's presidential election. More than 7,000 of them will be used in more than 1,500 polling stations across the Gambia.
We will conduct elections freely, fairly, transparently. And come this election, there are 6 contestants, but only 1 winner. And we do it so transparently in the presence of all the party agents to make sure that the losers will not blame the IC.
Nearly 1 million people have registered to vote in this election that also sees a record number, 6 presidential candidates.
The Gambia has a unique system of voting that predates its independence. Over here are ballot boxes called the ballot drums. They are made out in different colors for each candidate in this election. And in these boxes are election materials that include marble given to each verified voter. The voter takes the marble and then drops through this hole inside the ballot drum. The moment the marble gets in there, it hits a bell and makes a sound to the voter, election officials, and party representatives present. And finally, the ballots are counted on this wooden plate.
The Gambian police won't say how many officers they're deploying, but say they aren't leaving anything to chance.
Nobody can tell what exactly might be the crisis situation that might erupt, and so police officers are trained to be able to deal with these situations, even though we are anticipating that we are going to go into a peaceful election, but you may not know what might be this instance that or the challenges that will come up.
Voter enthusiasm is high, but many people don't trust the politicians who deliver what they promise.
I believe every politician is there for their interest. Politicians, like, sorry to say, but then politicians are selfish. They're just after their interest. I vote because, just like I mentioned earlier on, I am a concerned citizen and then I have to vote. It is my right to vote.
Officials hope this enthusiasm will translate into a high voter turnout, which could be possible as Gambians savor the freedom to vote and express themselves.
People in Beni welcome the deployment of troops and tanks. Many want an end to violence that's beset the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo for decades. A joint forces operation by the Ugandan and Congolese governments aims to root out the Allied Democratic Forces. The rebel group is accused of massacring thousands of people.
We support this operation and the collaboration between our two presidents to put an end to the ADF killers. We're expecting a lot from this operation because we want to resume with our normal life.
It's a real joy for us to see the UPDF soldiers finally conducting military operation in DRC, mainly in Beni region. It was our demand to end the suffering of the people in Beni and Ituri regions who have long been massacred by the ADF.
The Ugandan government blames the ADF for November's suicide bombings in Kampala. The Congolese army have been fighting the rebels for years and introduced martial law in the region 6 months ago.
We decided to bring together our intelligence services, and now we bring together our special forces to work in the ground to make sure we are reducing, if we can reduce 100% of the capacity, we will do so. But the thing here is that clearly we want first to destroy where they are located.
These thick forests surrounding Beni have provided a shelter and strategic base for the ADF. Originally from Uganda, the rebel group has been active for nearly 3 decades. In the 1990s, it fought against Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni, but was defeated in 2001 and relocated to the DRC. Monitoring groups say attacks have become more widespread, brazen and bloody after the ADF aligned with ISIL 2 years ago. And for the past few days, the joint forces have used artillery and air raids against the rebels and say their days are numbered. But they haven't made clear how long this will take. Laura Bowman, Al Jazeera.
Well, that's it for international news. We go straight into sports news. Copper Queens head coach Charles Halubono has called on the girls to work extra hard in tomorrow's game against the Black Princess of Ghana in the first leg that will be played at Nkoloma Stadium in the Under-20 Women's Cup qualifier. The head coach says girls should make use of the home advantage and score many goals, hence asking soccer fans to turn up in numbers and support the girls.
Though I don't have much information about them, what I know is they have been there, I think, for the past 5 editions of the Under-20 Women's World Cup. So that tells a story to say it's a very good team and very strong. But you know football, the way it is. So we have prepared. Yeah. We should use our home ground advantage, not knowing exactly what is going to happen that side. So the best is to utilize the opportunity we have at home.
Well, that's where we wrap it up for our news this evening. The headlines once again. BOWMAN, LUSAMBO and 8 others petitioned, labelled as illegal members of parliament. IMF gifts Zambia with 1.4 billion United States dollars. Vice President claims the UPND has scored 9 out of 10 in the first 100 days in office. In international news, Gambians said for the high-stake pause first since end of Yahya Jammeh's era. And in sports news, Copper Queens geared up for Ghana. We look at the Camnet verse for the day, and it's coming from 1 Peter verse 5, 6-7, and it reads, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that he may exalt you at the proper time, casting all your care on him, because he cares about you." Well, thank you so much for choosing us. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Good night and keep watching Camnet TV.